Hi there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Prestige Liquids. My name is Andrew, and as always, it is fantastic to have you here with me again on another whiskey review video. Now, I would like to welcome you all to day 23 of the Whiskey Advent Box series. If you've been following this series so far, you already know that this box has been made up of a whole bunch of samples that I have received throughout the year, and now I am finally making my way through them. Some of them I've had for quite a while, so I'm glad to finally be able to experience these whiskies because this has been a fantastic journey so far. All right, enough of that. Let's get into the box and see what I'm going to be reviewing today. Oh, okay, so unfortunately this has leaked. It looks like I have lost half the sample, but oh well, I'm hoping that it hasn't affected the whiskey all too much. But this one I'll be reviewing the Tria Prima Bruxa Batch 1. This has been bottled at 46% ABV. Now, I believe that this is an Australian whiskey and it comes from South Australia. Man, that is so disappointing. Look at that. That's literally half the sample gone. Oh well, I guess there is a point of crying over spilt whiskey. Let's pour some into the glass and see what we're going to get. So, here we go. Okay, so on the nose. Cheers. Okay, so there is still, luckily, there is still quite a lot of flavor coming through. So it looks like we may not have lost too much of its essence, but it's quite fruity and woody. The first thing that I'm kind of noticing is like a very sweet banana. They're kind of like an overripe banana that you're about getting ready to use for a really nice banana bread. Then that banana note kind of fades away, and then you start to get more of like a nice gentle toasted oak. Stewed fruits as well. I'm getting things like fig. There are some berry notes coming in, but it definitely does have this very nice like figgy kind of sweetness to it as well. Those are my very good words at the moment. A nice figgy sweetness. Raisin, some baking spice, so I'm picking up things like vanilla essence, a little bit of cinnamon and cardamom, some anise, and actually quite a lot of dry grass. It does have this nice grassy earthiness to it as well. All right, well, let's move on to the palate and see how we go. So cheers. That is still packing quite a bit of punch. So 46% for me is one of my favorite ABV levels. I think you cannot go wrong with that level. It just does everything right. So initially, you do get this nice thick syrupy mouthfeel, then that follows through with this nice dense toasted oak. I tend to notice quite a bit of barrel char in whiskies, but this one doesn't necessarily come across as a very charred cask. It seems more like a general, or like more of like a softer toasting rather than a heavy char. And when it comes to Australian whiskies, a lot of the ones that we tend to have down here tend to come from a very heavy char. This one seems a lot softer. So again, those stewed fruits are definitely there on the forefront. Imagine things like figs, prunes, your raisins, all those kind of things. Again, I always put this down to the finished dessert called giseli. So again, I am still noticing things like the cardamom and cinnamon, a whole bunch of baking spices, vanilla, pie crust. It's also quite buttery. There is a certain like buttery cheesiness to it as well, and that is something that I've never picked up on a whiskey before. I have heard other reviewers pick up a cheesy kind of element to whiskies before, but I've never been able to pick it, and it seems like I finally have. I believe that this is possibly a port cask or tawny matured whiskey. I'm not 100% sure. That kind of information I will put into the description box down below later on. But it definitely has that fortified wine cask kind of influence. Whether it's port or sherry, I'm not too sure, but I will find out later on. moving along to the finish, again, much of the same thing. It has this nice sweetness to it, although instead of being kind of like this, instead of being the stewed fruit influence, it's more of like a honey and caramel. Again, the vanilla is definitely coming through, so that definitely is a recurring flavor that follows through from beginning to end with this particular whiskey. I have to say, I am so disappointed that this whiskey has leaked. And I'm really, at the end of the day, I put that down to my own fault of not getting to it sooner, because this would have been absolutely fantastic. It is actually reminding me quite a lot of a Florio style of whiskey. And if you have been following the channel for some time, Florio is another one of our South Australian distilleries. They are definitely a favorite of mine, and I can definitely see this particular brand being one that I'm going to start chasing after, because this is absolutely fantastic. So if you have been enjoying this content so far, please make sure you go ahead and hit the bell notification and the subscription button so that you can stay up to date with all future content. My name is Andrew, and I'll see you all again on the next video. KIPPIS. Well, since you made it this far into the video, why not go ahead and check out some of the other reviews that I have done. I'll see you all again next time. Bye-bye.